Hey guys, my name is Alex Sutherland, and I'm making my first video for CardRunners. I'm super excited. Hope you guys are too. I called this video series The Theory of Winning, and it's going to be about how we can apply game theory to win at poker. And you'll notice I left GTO out of the title of this video, and that was on purpose because I want to talk about definitely GTO concepts, fundamentals of GTO, when we can apply it, when we can't, its strengths and its weaknesses. But in this series, I'm also going to try and go a little deeper into game theory and talk about, more advanced equilibrium concepts like epsilon equilibrium, subgame perfect equilibrium, trembling hand perfect equilibrium. And then I also want to get into a lot of ideas around how suboptimal players play games. The core idea behind GTO was just kind of Nash equilibrium. That was invented like 70 years ago. Game theory's gone a long way since then. And the goal of this series is going to be talking about the tools we've gained and how we can use them to win at poker. So, how can game theory help us? Like I said, a lot of the research, especially over the last 30, maybe even 50 years, has focused on how non-optimal players play games. And there's whole fields about this: behavioral game theory in economics, experimental game theory in economics, and then kind of from a different angle on the computer science side, there's a lot about learning algorithms and AI. And just to give you guys a little background on myself, I was a PhD student in game theory. I dropped out to play poker full time. Then I got involved in some software startups. One of them kind of took off shortly before Black Friday, so I got out of poker for a little bit, focused on software development. And so I have kind of a background in, mathematics, game theory, playing poker full time, and also from the CS side, programming algorithms. And that's kind of where my passion is. And there's been a lot of exciting stuff that people have done in trying to understand how suboptimal players play games. One extreme end of the spectrum, when I was a grad student, I participated in an fMRI study where they actually had us get in an fMRI machine. You're in this like super loud tiny metal coffin, and they had us making shovel-fold decisions to play, shovel-fold poker. And they did that so they could image various parts of your brain while you made those decisions and see what biological triggers there are to various types of decision making. To me, that side of things is a little bit of voodoo. I'm not interested in that, and I'm not going to talk about that. But on the other side of the spectrum, there's been a lot of progress in applying theory to suboptimal play. So either talking about players that are kind of have limited ability to make perfect decisions, they can only think so many levels deep, or talking about players who randomly make errors in their decisions, or modeling specific tendencies towards specific errors by adjusting players' utility functions. There's a whole host of this kind of stuff that comes from behavioral game theory and experimental game theory. Then on the algorithm side, I've been spending a lot of time writing kind of fictitious play algorithms that solve computationally for Nash equilibrium that are too difficult to find with pencil and paper. So I'll be able to show you guys a lot of new algorithm types. And then there's also a lot of interesting learning algorithm stuff around opponent modeling and how you play games against suboptimal opponents. This year's CPC, the Computer Poker Challenge, they're actually taking a really simple game, Coon Poker, which is like the Ace King Queen game from the Mathematics of Poker, if any of you guys have read that. And they're making a three-handed version of that with a four-card deck, Ace King Queen Jack. And because Nash equilibrium don't perform very well in three-player games, it's actually going to be a really interesting challenge of how you model opponents, how you exploit them, even in a very simple game. The other thing game theory can help us do is apply GTO. A lot of people are very excited about GTO. They want to use it to help them in their games, but they don't always have a really strong grasp of all the fundamentals behind GTO. When does it apply? When does it not apply? What kind of fish does it beat? How badly does it beat them? What kind of fish does it, mostly break even against? These are all kind of all core questions around GTO that I'm going to try and go over in this video series. The main ways I like to apply GTO to playing poker is, one, to solve sub-scenarios that let us backwards induct. So what I mean by this is you can use GTO to figure out if me and my opponent both play, perfectly or near perfectly in this type of river scenario where, say, I have a condensed range and he has a polarized range, that will tell me the EV of getting into the river in those positions. Then when I'm trying to make my turn decisions, rather than thinking about all the things that might happen on the river, I can just kind of replace that river with a number, the EV I solved by applying GTO, And I can use that to inform one of my turn decisions, and you can kind of apply this thinking and work backwards through the game tree in a vague sense.